All right, we're now recording, and let's see how we do with the Facebook. All right, here we go. May the shorts be with us. All right, up on there, page. And all right. Whew. Wow. Okay. Let's see. All right. And we are going live now. Oh, wait a minute. I have the time. No, still got the time. All right.
I think it's on.
I think it's on. It is. Yes, here we go.
Yeah.
All right. Now streaming on Facebook. So, for those who are joining us here on the Philadelphia Unnamed Film Festival Facebook Live and their Facebook page, welcome. I am JK. I am the features programmer for the 5th annual Philadelphia Unnamed Film Festival, or affectionately or infamously known as PUFF. And as we can see here, and the climate around the world has become virtual, so we're not actually in Philadelphia this year. We're not in Fishtown. We look forward to returning next year. But for all you fans out there who have followed PUFF for now the 5th year, the 5th incarnation, we're so happy to have you join us. And what we're going to do is we're going to be streaming live right now to all you folks and introducing you to some of the filmmakers that are going to be part of the Friday lineup. Now, for those who don't know, the Philadelphia Unnamed Film Festival is going to be coming this Friday, October 2nd, and Saturday, October 3rd. Now, we'll go backwards. October 3rd, we've got a plethora of short blocks, including international, local, horror, the bizarre block, and we have a great feature entitled, out of South Korea, Beast Clawing at Straws, which comes from Artsploitation, the great label. They were nice enough to pass it along to us. So Saturday, October 3rd at 8 p.m., you can check it out if you do not want to see the local shorts block. Now, keep in mind, whether Friday or Saturday, you can join us for both. For a $10 pass, you can go to festhome.com, look up the Philadelphia Unnamed Film Festival, and be a part of it on this 2-day celebration of the bizarre, the horrific, the emotional, and the unnamed that is PUFF. Or you can join us for $5 a ticket per block. So if you'd like to see each of the short blocks, it'd be $5 per, or you can get a $10 pass, do the math, join us no matter what. And it's an incredible assembly of amazing filmmaking and creative talent that are a part of this. For Friday, October 2nd, we are honored this year to have a quartet of features and shorts that are going to be joining us. Starting at 4 p.m., and keep in mind, 4 p.m. is the start time for Friday and Saturday, we're going to go ahead, and on Friday, October 2nd, and I'm going to go down this, I'm going to read the lineup. Wow, I can't even do that with that cool banner behind me. Amazing parts of Zoom. Going down the line, and we're also going to introduce the filmmakers as we do, we are honored to span the entire globe to bring in a set of incredible shorts and incredible features. Kicking off at 4 o'clock, we are honored to welcome a talented young female filmmaker to the PUFF annals. Her short last year, Lovers, spanned the entire festival run here in the States and overseas, telling a very chilling story about abuse. This year she returns with a short right out of Brooklyn, New York, entitled Smile For Me. So she'll be opening up for the gentleman that currently is right now on our Zoom for this Facebook Live, talking about the slate of PUFF features on Friday, October 2nd. Diego Fried, who's done the feature, The Silent Party. Diego, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Thanks for inviting our movie to the festival and to present it there, of course, we are honored about that.
Well, let me talk real quick about why The Silent Party was not only the perfect opener for the aspect of Puff, but also why I thought, as being the features programmer, it fit really well. For me, I see a lot of films all year long. A lot of different festivals I judge, I program for, I cover, but it was the most confronting film that I've seen all year. It's what I like to consider a dark drama. And for a film like this, where you have a narrative based on certain key characters, focused on a couple who's engaged and ready to get married and come to the bride-to-be's father's property, you see a narrative that really connects close to home in situations and relationships that have reached a point where they no longer work as they did, and uncertainty kind of works its way in. And from that uncertainty, the lead female character decides to head over into the next set of land and go ahead and join this party, this headphone party. And we'll talk more about it, Diego. But in the matter of hours, events unfold, choices are made, and consequences happen. And it's an incredibly powerful story that goes ahead and really confronts the viewer with a lot of issues, and is a very well-rounded perspective on the aspect of assault, on the aspect of lies, on the aspect of relationships, and much, much more. So Diego, thank you for bringing The Silent Party from Argentina to Puff. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
The second film takes us into, I hate using the term mockumentary, because it sounds like it's a comedy, Jake, and it's not a comedy. But the film Poser, now, was Poser, Jake, out of Cincinnati?
No, it actually is based in Dayton, so just a little bit north of here.
Okay,
Yeah.
So it's based out of Ohio. But this fake documentary tells the story of a young man who's coming back to his hometown after a 2-year stint in rehab with a sordid past, and ends up kind of back in the belly of the beast with drugs, with the aspect of corruption, and with some horrible things that are happening just on the other side of your neighborhood door. We are honored in the 6 p.m. slot to not only bring in the feature Poser, but before the feature Poser, we have another talented female director, Shea Connolly, with her short Fucked Up Point Blank, a really experimental piece that takes the aspect of Mystery Theater 3000 and those kind of programs that overdub or ADR their own kind of commentary into a particular piece of cinema. So it ought to be a very interesting pairing with it, because with Poser, it's very raw, very gritty, and definitely at times it feels all too real. We've lost our next filmmaker. He has disappeared, and hopefully he didn't get attacked by the seeds he possesses. But Skip Shea, who has been someone that I've known for a long time, and someone who has a very powerful voice pertaining to religion and the horrors that surround religion. His feature Trinity 2 or 3 years ago played several film festivals. And he is a man from the Massachusetts area, the New England area, that has a strong voice when it comes to programming, when it comes to filmmaking, when it comes to the aspect of bringing all too real experience to the big screen. His film Seeds, which I believe if he comes on back, started off as a short piece and developed into a feature. It stars Kip Weeks, and we are honored to bring it to the 6 p.m. slot. I'm sorry, the 8 p.m. slot for Puff. And before that, we have Andrew Huggins' short film, Riddis Domen, which is a very interesting and another experimental short that will definitely keep you on the edge of your seat and keep you on your toes. And finally, at 10 p.m., oh, there he is. Welcome back, Skip. How are you?
Sorry about that. I'm old. I get tired really easily.
No worries, dude.
As does my internet.
I can tell. We just talked about Seeds, and congratulations and thank you also for bringing it to Puff.
Well, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And
hopefully that goes smoother than this, but
well, we'll see. You never know with technology nowadays. But finally, we are joined in our 10 p.m. slot by really the film that will be what I believe the crowd pleaser for Puff this year. It's a fan-based story surrounding the franchise of The Evil Dead. 3 different films, a trilogy of films in 3 different decades. You have a variety of cast and crew from Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. You have the aspect of community, culture, fandom, merchandise, and pure heart and passion. And it's led by our friend right here, one of the men who brought Hail to the Deadites to life after many a year, Steve. How many years, Steve?
7.
Wow.
7, oh my Lord,
Yeah.
7 years. And I remember seeing Steve at Horrorama in Toronto a few years ago when he was interviewing Chris Alexander. And at that time, how far into the doc were you? How close were you?
Halfway, I guess. I think we were halfway, if I
Wow.
remember. I think I need to watch the footage just in case we can see you pass behind during the interview or something. I'm pretty sure it will be fun. Anyway.
No, that's Jason Tanis. That's not me. That's Jason
True.
from
It's true. Yep.
Blood in the Snow.
Blood in
Well,
the Snow, yeah.
We are honored to bring the filmmaker behind this documentary, which has been a huge hit so far in the film festival track this year, the virtual track, Steve Villeneuve, to it. Now, are you out of Toronto, Steve?
If I'm in Toronto?
Are you in Toronto?
No, Montreal. I'm in
Montreal, okay.
Ah.
Out of Montreal. And before that, we're going to have the micro short, Scarlet Circle by Ryan Servasos, which is a really brief short that talks about the aspect of footage, coverage, and really insane in a matter of like 2.5 minutes. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of it. And real quick, before we get into some of the questions, over this roundtable for the Philadelphia Unnamed Film Festival, we want to thank all the sites that covered Puff in the press release, ones like Dread Central, Nightmarish Conjurings, Promote Horror, and many more for spreading the unnamed word of the festival this year. Also, the supporters who have been with us, whether it's just this virtual year or the previous 4 years, as well as all the fans. And of course, we can't get away from our sponsors, including Don Giovanni Records. Now, if that's not a record store name, I don't know what is. So, with that being said, guys, let's jump into it, because one of the great things about this slate of features across the board is, you have such a world perspective of what cinema is. And looking at it on IMDb and doing my due diligence, they seem to have all gotten a very positive fan reaction. So let's start up at the top, Diego. Talk about how fans have reacted to the Silent Party and where the genesis for this idea came from.
Well, my premiere, the only one that I have in a cinema, was in Mar del Plata, in Argentina, a film festival. I don't know if you know the festival. And we have 2 screenings in a movie theater in November last year. And I have to say that was the first time that I saw my movie, because I think that when a filmmaker see a movie in a theater with the audience, I think it's the first time that you see your film. Prior to that, at the editing room, and I don't know, when you're doing color or whatever, it's one film, but with the presence of the audience is another film. And then I realized more or less the film that I did and how risky it was for me as a male to do a feature like this, because I had some questions from the female audience saying, why you did this? Why you wanted to tell this story? And back to your question, the genesis of the project was in India. I did travel with my prior film 10 years ago, a very small, low budget film, but I did go to India. And I spent last year of the last day of the year, the 31 of December, in Goa. It's a beach, they call it the Ibiza of Asia. It's a very nice place to go, single. And there I discovered the silent parties. After the 31 of December, to not make noise at the beaches, they did this silent party. So it was very strange to walk in the jungle almost, and find people dancing with headphones and only listening to the ocean and the wind. And that image for me was a sort of apocalyptic image of the world in a way. And the news of a girl was a victim of a rape and murder in that beach maybe 1 month earlier than when I was there. And that sad story and this image was the genesis. This both was the genesis of the project.
So it's a true crime. I don't mean to interrupt, but it kind of is a true crime then.
Yes.
Wow.
What was it? The genesis was the story of a true crime against a British girl there in that beaches, and that story did an impact on me. And well, these two things was the genesis, and I started writing the script with a friend, Nicolas Gelburg, who I often write with him the stories that I try to make movies. And I had 10 years to do the movie. First, I have one producer, still didn't go well, and it's not easy to finally do it. And we've been changing the script and trying to do it as contemporary as possible. And a lot of things change on the matter of the film, and we try to reflect that change and how the world is today with this genre movie, because finally it is a thriller. It is a rape and revenge movie. I'm spoiling a little bit, but it's what it is. And I think it's a very fine line to do a movie like this today for a man. I think I try to do it as good as possible. And the actress is a well-known actress here in Argentina. She's very involved in the movement here, the Me Too, but in Argentina. We really did a very line by line work on the script to do what the movie is, and was not easy at all. And we've been writing till the first day of the pre-production.
Wow.
Changing things, and we can show this, that. And the other difficult thing I think for the movie is only one night.
Right.
And to make it real, to make it real for the audience, it's not easy to do a genre movie, but feel all the things very real, because I thought that doing that for the audience will be more powerful. And I think it is, because going back to your question, when I screened it in Mar del Plata, what happened in the movie theater was very powerful. And then I realized the movie that I did.
That's amazing, the explanation that you gave. It really is, because looking at the female perspective and the lead actress being involved in the hashtag Me Too movement, and the line that you have to walk to be able to have this go over as well as it is. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to program it as the opening night feature, or the opening day feature, I should say, opening festival feature, is because it packs such a wallet when it comes to it, that people, after they watch this, if they're not shaken and then they're not having a conversation, because as I had said before, Diego, and this is something we'll get to, it's a very well-rounded and very confronting story. And it's something that many people may not be able to handle. But in any story, there's always more than one perspective. And that's something that is very well presented and fleshed out when it comes to the narrative of the silent party. Jake, we look at Poser for the 6 o'clock slot. And for you, fan reaction and the genesis of this idea.
The fan reaction, at least in comparison to Diego's, we haven't had any kind of festival or big showing in a theater or anything like that as of yet, mostly because we started applying for these things pretty much in the midst of COVID, if not just like slightly before. And so it's really stifled it. So at Puff will be one of like the first times it's actually been shown to an audience that's bigger than our family and friends here. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Cool.
And
thank you.
And yeah, the genesis for it, I grew up in the suburbs in kind of like a isolated part of Ohio in a little town in Dayton. And my next door neighbor that I grew up with was kind of shocking, but he struggled from like a heroin addiction when we were little. It was something that he like hid from a lot of us. And I was really close to this friend. And I didn't realize that I was like still tumbling his story around in my head all these years later. And I just had to kind of find a way to express it. And I tried my hardest to make it a, not necessarily depressing story, but like a dramatic film that still tells a nice arc and has a little bit of character development, part out of a wish to kind of see that in my friend. And yeah, just a lot of influence from CKY and Jackass
Right.
growing up, as you can see from the beginning.
You can see it, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a massive fan of those guys. So we betted that in the movie. It actually played an even bigger part in earlier drafts. It was like a funnier, more skit-based movie that then switched. But in the edit, things change, and you rewrite as you're like halfway through production too. And the movie changed. It became a lot darker. It became a lot, a more honest film really at the end of it. And a fun fact about it too is that ending that you'll see in it was completely made in the editing room. That was like footage that we had chucked out, and it beat the hell out of the original ending we had. It was more honest. It was way more truthful, and I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a gut punch when you see it.
I agree with you on that. And for me, and I'll be honest with you, Jake, I was not on board at the beginning with Poser being a part of the festival. It took me a few viewings to firmly get behind it, and I'm glad I did, because as you watch it and you unpack it, it's an exceptionally powerful film. Our other programmer, Matt, was a huge fan of it, and he'll be joining us for the Q&A on Friday. And I'm glad that he really kept pushing on it, because it's a film that, it embodies so many different generations. And it's really kind of universal, because you're looking at that kind of culture. And for me, that's associated more with California, that kind of culture. That's where I see it. But the thing is, though, that's what the kind of stereotype is for it, at least that I've been around. You find it everywhere. You grow up with it. And that's one of the powerful things about Poser is, it's about family. It's about that culture. It's about drugs. It's about the connection. There's a lot of things to unpack with that film. And we're so proud to be able to have it as part of Puff. So thank you.
Well, that really means a lot, to be honest. And to be a part of the festival, be included in it. And I think it creeps up on you. It's one of those movies that starts out and you think it's going one way and it changes a little bit. And yeah, I'm just really proud of that atmosphere we were able to create with it. It's kind of a miracle.
Yeah, it is. And we'll talk more about it. Skip, you're the 8 o'clock, my friend. So for you, and same as before, the aspect of fan reaction and the genesis for Seeds.
Fan reaction, it did play at Buffalo Dreams. So I was in front of an audience and on a big screen, and it sold out because it only took 20 people to sell it out because of COVID. So, hey, we sold out the world premiere. But I agree. It's like seeing the movie for the first time with an audience and on a big screen, because it was, I saw some things then that I didn't even realize that I had put into it. There's part of it's a very personal story, and some of the personal aspect, I saw more of it. But hearing the score in that room was spectacular. I mean, it just, Sean McPherson's score like makes the movie actually. So and the Q&A, went well. I mean, everyone seemed to really enjoy it. So and they laughed when they were supposed to laugh. They nodded at any other time. So that's always a bonus. So it seemed to do well. I mean, the Q&A went on for a long time.
Did Greg host it?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, Greg's a good one out of Buffalo Dreams.
Yeah, I mean, both Greg and Craig, I mean, they did a fantastic job. I think they were like one of the only like live festivals going on,
Mhm.
probably in the country, and it was just they were on top of how people had to behave, and still it was a festival. I mean, I got to meet with fans and talk with people because I'd been a part of it before, so it was almost like I'm seeing old friends there. When it was just great. The genesis behind Seeds is I mean I'm late to the game in making movies, but I love folk horror. I absolutely love it, and it's one of my favorite subgenres, if not my favorite. And most of the things that I've made shorts in Trinity, there are scenes in the woods that I shoot in there. It's generally my backyard.
Right.
There's a lot of woods here.
Indie filmmaking, folks.
Yeah, and my neighbor teaches video production in a local high school. And he kept saying to me, "Oh, I gotta shoot pictures of you. I gotta take pictures of you." I'm like, "Oh, all right," which is weird. So he calls me up one day. Come on out back. I have an axe. I'm like, okay. I'll. So I literally went out there as I normally dress. And he held the axe, and I took the picture, and he put it up on social media, and the thing like took off. This weird picture of me holding an axe. And he said, we have to write something around this. We have to do something around this. So that's literally because I'm in the thing. And I had done some acting before, so it's not like I hadn't acted, but I had no intention of doing it. But it was because of Damien Gaudet's, who actually is the priest hunter in my short Priest Hunter.
Absolutely, which is kind of a prequel to it.
Yeah, well, Priest Hunter is its own.
Okay.
Its own animal. That's a long story. Okay. Actually, I'll jump in. I put Priest Hunter out free on YouTube for a while, and the most views it got was in Argentina. And the discussions in Argentina were through the roof. It was unbelievable.
Small world keeps getting smaller.
Yeah. But no, so Seeds, I started, I mean, I already had an idea for what I wanted to do for a folk horror thing, but then I just had to write the character of the dude with the axe into it. And then I just started shooting, and I'm lucky. Didn't want to talk about like indie filmmaking. I'm lucky where I live. There's a horror convention nearby called Rock and Shock in Worcester, Massachusetts. So it doesn't exist anymore, but I think something will eventually replace it. So what I always do is I wait and see who's coming to Rock and Shock, and then I say, hey, do you want to be in a movie? Because they're already here, so I don't have to fly them here. They already have a hotel room. I don't have to get the hotel room. So I was able to get Barbara Bignolfi from Suspiria to do a scene in Seeds. So I mean, that's the fun aspect of making it at this level. I think it would be more fun if I had an actual, bigger budget and I didn't have to do this. But that was shortly after the photograph was taken, so I had to write a scene for Barbara like immediately.
Wow.
But it went fun. I mean, it was fun to make. I'm glad it's done. I'm always glad it's done. And I again thank you for having me.
The pleasure is ours. And before we get to Hail to the Deadites, don't forget you can go to festhome.com and buy a $10 pass for the 2 days, or buy $5 tickets for each block. So do the math, whatever you want to do, join us, and we appreciate so much. And find us on social media across the board, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Phil the Unnamed. So as simple as that. And we thank Will for making it that simple. Steve, speaking of guests being at conventions and, really kind of cutting the production budget to a fraction, I mean, Hail to the Deadites, I know you don't want to hear about the fan reaction because it's been huge, but also the justice. But this has really been a thing where conventions have been really important to you to go out there, and they're really featured prominently in this documentary about the Evil Dead franchise.
Yeah, to be honest, it's all start at any convention. If I'm going like way before. When we did our first feature film, which was an anthology back in 2005, the name was Stories of a Gravedigger. Don't look for it; it's not really good. But anyway, we we sorry, Glenn, because Glenn is one of the producer on To Deadites, and he was my main actor in Stories of a Gravedigger. And every time I'm saying that it's not really good, he's taking it personally. Uh, but um, but yeah, but we did a movie. We did ourselves a 1,000 copy, a run of 1,000 copy, and we start going to different convention to sell it. So I kind of start my horror journey in convention. I love convention a lot, and it's so much easy for us to just travel to one con and do interviews with the guests there than to fly them all over to do some interviews or go to different locations and stuff. Unfortunately, right now it's not possible to go to any convention, and I do miss the screening in front of an audience. Kip, you were lucky because Elle was also screened at the Buffalo
Yes.
Dream Festival, but I couldn't make it, and it's kind of sad because Buffalo is just like just across the border. Well, I'm still in Montreal, but part of the country, so couldn't make it. And when I did my first documentary called Under the Scares like 10 years ago. Under the Scares opened the first, well, Buffalo Dream, like the first time they did the event. Actually, it wasn't Buffalo Dream, it was
Buffalo
Buffalo
Screams.
Buffalo Screams, exactly. And Greg told me we're gonna open, the festival with your documentary. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Went there, was super fun. And then this year he told me like let's do it all around, let's do the circle, let's open this year festival with El To Deadites. So I was like, I want to go, but yeah, can't make it. So it's sad, but yeah, convention or and festival are big part of the salary, I think, as filmmaker that we can get, when you're going, like Diego was saying, when you can see your film for the first time on screen. It's amazing. I remember I didn't have the chance yet for El to the Deadites because it's all virtual. But I remember with Under the Scares, the first time it was screened in front of an audience, like we rent a theater in New York, the Tribeca Theater. We rent it and we just invite a lot of media and guests. So we did ourselves some kind of a premiere, and it was like the beginning of a great a great moment. So yeah, I'm super sad that I can't be in a festival with an audience right now. But hey, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, it's okay.
Well, we appreciate the fact that you're joining us virtually for this.
No, yeah,
And that's been something it's been kind of crazy because correct me if I'm wrong, world premiere at Fantasia, right?
exactly. Yes, yeah, we had the world premiere at Fantasia. The movie was available during the entire length of the festival, so from August 20th to September 2nd. And we won a bronze audience award for best documentary, which was amazing. But yeah, the festival circuit is so fun. Fantasia was the first, then Fright Fest. Sidges is coming, screening on Friday with you guys. Thanks for selecting the movie. Thanks for reaching out to me.
The pleasure is ours. And that's one thing for me as a programmer. I always look for at least one documentary to be a part of the lineup because documentary, I mean, right now I'm working on a doc project myself, but documentaries are so important and sometimes they're not as enjoyable or fun. Sometimes they are very, hostile, very confronting, very horrific, very dark, but whatever it is, it's incredible storytelling. And Hail to the Deadites. And, Steve, I'll stick with you. Hail to the Deadites is a project that really, is a lot of blood, sweat, and tears with the crew that you had. And it really was just, am I correct, maybe 3 or 4 of you the entire time?
We were always 3 going on shoot, but it wasn't always the same people. It was like, okay, in 3 weeks we need to go to this convention. Who's available? So so Guillaume was like, okay, I can come, I can't. All right, Danny, you want to tag along? Martin was with us the entire
Martin's the best.
shoot. Yeah, Martin was with us the entire shoot, except for one weekend that he couldn't make it. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, maybe 6 or 7 person were on set, through the 7 years that we shot the movie. So
Unbelievable. I mean, you're going to locations like Days of the Dead, Horror Hound. You're looking at the aspect of Horrorama. You're looking at the Evil Dead, the musical as well. I mean, there was a lot. Yeah, Shockstock, exactly right. I mean, there was a whole slew of projects, both in Canada or conventions in Canada and the U.S. that you gained a lot of footage from, and to be able to have people committed to it for so many years, it's astonishing. Especially something like this, Steve, where the Evil Dead franchise is so, it's arguably the most fan-friendly and most fan-engraved franchise in all of horror.
It's yeah. Evil Dead fans are amazing. I was a fan of the franchise, when I started the documentary, but I didn't know like this Deadites family, to be honest. I met all those people because of Bree Commons. Bree Commons was when I started the documentary, I went online and I kind of typed who's the biggest Evil Dead fan just to see. And lucky I was, I think a month ago or a couple of weeks ago, IGN put out a clip of the biggest Evil Dead fan, because they did a big contest because the new Evil Dead was coming in, and the prize for the winner was to have Bruce Campbell coming to your place, and you were the first one watching the new trailer, So like they put that clip. So when I saw her, I went on Facebook, type her name, found her, sent her a message, and everything started right there. Bree's gonna be with us on Friday night. I'm
awesome.
Pretty sure. Yeah, she told me that she don't want to miss it. So she's super cool, and she's the one who kind of introduced me to everybody that you can see in it. Well, almost everybody that you can see in the film. So, yep.
Unbelievable. Skip, the idea of crew, because Massachusetts, a lot of crew and a lot of cast work with everybody. It kind of cycles around, but not even more than that. The aspect of family, because Steve brings up a really great point about that Deadite family. And for you, when it comes to the aspect of Seeds, you're also dealing with a family kind of concept. So talk about the crew that was with you, and talk about the theme of family when it comes to Seeds.
Well, the crew, I'm very lucky living where I do, even though it's in the middle of nowhere and our internet goes out. That Sean McPherson lives here. Sean is from a townie. He's from Uxbridge too. He was out in LA for a while. He's probably 40. He's a good 20 years younger than me. But he's a musician, and he did some music for some games like Devil May Cry and Final Fantasy. And then he just learned a lot of production stuff. So he saved my first feature, Trinity. He saved the sound. We did a lot of post work on that. So the fact that he lives here, I just relied on him heavily for the sound aspect of Seeds, and there was no ADR. Everything was caught live. The sound was great, and we were outside a lot. So I mean, he was just spectacular. But you're right. I mean, we're the horror community up here is pretty close, and so I was able, the same thing with the DP, Chris D'Annunzio. He's made a couple of horror features. I've known him forever. So another young guy, and it was just easy to get everyone together and say, let's just shoot this thing. And most of the cast I've worked with before, not all of it, but not the leads, but I'd worked with before. So there is this sense of trust in the community and people that I know that think can pull off some of these scenes, exceptionally well. And when you say family, you're talking about the storyline?
When it comes to the storyline of Seeds, it is really a family affair.
It is a family affair, and at the risk of being a downer here, my first feature is Trinity, and it's about the life of a survivor of clergy sexual abuse, and I'm a survivor. So that's why I made it. But it's Not that I want to always make movies surrounding tragedies in my life, but the biggest tragedy in my life, the thing that makes that looks ridiculously small, is the fact that I lost a daughter. One of my daughters died, and what that does to a family. So all of that is hidden. Well, it's not even hidden. All of that is the basis of Seeds.
Right.
It's a grieving couple, and how they cope with grieving, and how one is a staunch Catholic, but it doesn't seem to fill her needs. It's empty, and the husband is just wrapped up in work. And it's funny, when I made this, because I said, as a guy who lost his daughter, I said, all these movies are bullshit. They always show the man just diving himself right into work, and that's how he copes with it. And it took me, years to realize that that's all I've done.
Yeah.
I mean, I've not stopped working since then. So it was actually very authentic to have him do that. But it's also like a larger, religious family aspect. It's a folk horror film, so there's a cult in it, but the cult as has a larger mission, in particular in regards to the Catholic Church, and by the end of it, there's a new family unit together, and it's pretty much the rise of the matriarchy, where the deity is all of the deities are feminine. A daughter, not the daughter of the couple who are the leads, but another daughter rises from the dead. There's a spirit that's feminine, that's always around the whole time, and then there's the person who takes over the cult. So I wanted to redefine all sorts of religion and cults, as well as show that they actually became a very tight-knit group, this cult, as messed up as they are, and as messed up as some of the things that they do.
Yeah.
But isn't that every family?
Oh my God, just think of Thanksgiving in my household. It really is a powerful family story. And for me, I mean, some of the things I wrote down, Skip, watching the aspect of Seeds includes, the idea of Wicker Man, Don't Look Now, Hereditary, The Vanishing. So there is more than personal influences that are pulled for this. And it's a very well-crafted story. And it's a story that you shoot in black and white. And that's something that is, I think, exceptionally powerful, because it gives a very clinical sort of feel to what's going on. At least for my opinion, a very clinical feel.
Yeah, I was hoping for that. And I was also hoping, one of my favorite folk horror films is Robin Redbreast, and it was actually a British TV movie, and it was black and white, and I just absolutely loved that movie. So I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, because there are aspects of everything else that you just mentioned there, but I wanted to give a nod to Robin Redbreast as well. I mean, because that was really at the beginning of the folk horror craze. Even it was before the Wicker Man, I think, in the timeline anyway. So it's that was one of the reasons for black and white. And the funny thing with black and white, and the funny thing with Cruise, is sometimes it would almost, again, be the same thing. Who's available today? And sometimes it would be somebody with a different camera. So matching up black and white to black and white with two different cameras is a fucking bear. That's all I can say.
Wow.
It's a task. And that's why I was so grateful when I saw it on a big screen. I thought, oh my God, people can't tell that this is a different camera. It's actually would have been easier to color correct in color.
Wow.
But it worked out, and because I really, really, really wanted this in black and white. I wanted to have that old feel, and it's not like it's an homage to low budget films, because it is a low budget film. This is how I just had to produce it.
Jake, when we look at Poser, the aspect of crew, it feels, it has a charisma to it. It feels like you guys had a real good time creating this behind the scenes. I could be wrong based on what we see on the screen, but also the aspect of family. I mean, it really is a family story, and the guilt and the justice and the responsibility of the lead character by time the end of the narrative is over. So can you talk crew and talk the theme of family with Poser?
Yeah, sure. The crew aspect, it started out with a small crew from Wright State, just by Dayton. And pretty much over the course of like the first 2 weekends, we lost almost everybody except for me and my camera guy. So then I had to take over sound and help grip and do any other production assisting that was needed on set. So it was really made, when it boiled down to it, with only 2 guys at the max 4 over like a 40-day shoot stretched out over, I don't know, it was like October to January, and then we had pickups that summer, and we tried to match it all. But yeah, so it was like almost a 2-person team for the entire thing. But I really liked all the guys we worked with. We all trusted each other, and that's what allowed us to, like, you know, have such a crazy up in the air schedule with everyone with their school classes and whatnot, which was a massive like help. And as far as the themes or the aspects of family in it, that was like the driving purpose of even starting this, was figuring out that core relationship between the 2 brothers and how, you know, addiction can spread throughout like a family, you know, genetically, and also like the way they influence in your actions and the friends you hang out with. And I think that's like pretty apparent when you watch it, not spoiling anything, that involves his 2 brothers and a younger one that looks up to his older one. And yeah, I think that's just a story that almost everybody, you know, experiences at some point. You look up to your older siblings, you try to impress your younger siblings, and at some point you'll fail them. And you just hope to God that they don't fall as hard as you do, you know? And yeah, that's what we try to convey that as best we could.
Diego, for the silent party, I mean, you have an overbearing father, you have a complacent relationship that is cracking at the seams, and they're about to get married, and then you have a group of friends who are enjoying life. And it's so interesting because each of these projects have like certain genesis moments that really stick out and where the narrative just takes off. And especially the silent party, when the 2 characters meet right in front of the father's house and pick up the hat, and just that connection, you know something bad's going to happen. You just know something bad's going to happen, because if anyone's had friends or been in relationships, the idea of temptation is very palpable when you reach a certain point of relationship where things are just not working anymore. So Diego, talk to me about crew for this, but also talk to me about that theme of family, which, you know, you have different variations when it comes to the silent party.
Yes, in terms of family, yes, she feels the pressure of the father. The father represents, in a way, this social, maybe, pressure to have family, have kids in life. And this is a woman about her 40s. So maybe she's getting married. I put the marrying scene because that represents that, you know, the family, to have kids and all that stuff that the father is always saying to her, and making all that pressure. I think maybe it's the most important theme in the movie, that is that pressure. And about the crew, the movie is a low budget film here. I made it in 3 weeks of shooting, 15 days. So I think you don't feel that when you see the movie, but I really had to make it quick. A thriller, most of the scenes are at night. 80% of the movie is by night. We did it at summer, and the night we have less hours of dark. So I have less hours each day to shoot the movie. I had to make it very, very fast. And all the people that I worked with was the first time that I worked with, except the second assistant director that he works with me. I do commercials for a living, and he's my assistant director for the commercials. But he said to me, I never did a feature film, so I prefer to be your second and bring on board another one with more experience in feature films. And I think that was a good gesture by him to say that. But by the end of the whole process, the last episode of shooting was the sensation of a family. I think it mostly often happens, but it's very important to every movie, but more if you have a low budget movie, because you have no time to expend. And I almost did all the things that I shoot are in the movie, except one. I did go to editing room with exactly what I need, because I didn't have enough time to this. I think that this was maybe 6 weeks or 7 weeks shooting movie, but the producer said, I only have money for 3 weeks, so if you can do it in 3 weeks, let's do it. And that was another reason that I've been cutting the script till the first day of pre-production, because how can I make this script in 3 weeks?
Wow.
And yes, we didn't have any rainy day or something. We had lucky.
Well, guys, we're coming up on it already. Let's finish it up with this question. And Diego, I'll stick with you. And again, head over to festhome.com. Check out the Philadelphia Unnamed Film Festival. Join us this weekend, Friday, October 2nd, Saturday, October 3rd. We've got 5 features across the 2 days. We've got 4 blocks. We've got over 30 shorts in total, a ton of Q&As, a lot of great cinema for you out there, a lot of unnamed cinema for you out there. And find us on social media under Philly Unnamed and be a part of it and support your genre film festivals, virtual or not. But Diego, talk to me about your central casting. Talk to me about casting your female lead and what you were looking for and what she brought that wasn't on the page.
Well, I started the conversation with Jasmine Stewart, the lead actress, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. She always wanted to do this movie. And we did some rehearsals, sort of casting with her and an actor, the actor that plays her fiancé. And I felt that she was the one to play, because she can play something that is strength, in her body, and you feel that in the movie. I needed a character that can go through what happened that night and stay alive to do the rest. So, and it's not easy to find that kind of character. I also wanted an actress, a pretty actress, because after all, these young people felt attracted by her, and I wanted that, I have to say. And all the actors, I saw the actors in movies in Argentina, in other movies, because I also didn't have money to make a big casting to find the people. So I picked all of them, watching a lot of movies, the last, I think, best Argentinian movies of the last 3 years, and I picked them from watching the movies. What's great, because I think it's important for me as an Argentinian filmmaker to see what other colleagues are doing, and was really good for me to do that. And Jasmine Stewart is a well-known actress here. The father is a very, very well-known actor here. He was the only one for me that could play that strong and aggressive father. And this actor is not that easy to work with him on set. All the time the producer said, "Are you sure you want to work with Gerardo Romano? Are you sure?" They asked me that question, I don't know, maybe 20 times. And I said, maybe I don't want to work with him, but I don't know anyone that is better, because I need a guy that supposed to be the father of a 40 years old woman. So I need a guy at least 70, but he must be a strong one and aggressive and all what it is in the movie. And Gerardo Romano is the one. I don't know any other. The other that I thought was he died 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh,
a great
no.
Argentinian actor. And I said, but he's dead.
And you're right. The father is he's got a spry in his step for someone who's 70 years old. It reminds me a little bit like a Ric Flair from pro wrestling. Those who are watching like pro wrestling, he's got that charisma to him. Woo!
Yeah, I know.
I had to do it. I know.
Someone had to do it.
Something funny about that, I got married last year, and it was my song when I was walking the aisle.
Really?
The Ric Flair thing. Anyway, come on.
Nicely added.
Did you have a blue robe too, or?
That would have been amazing.
Oh. And Diego, real quick, talk about casting the group of friends, real quick.
The group of friends, the two principals, they did very good movies here in Argentina, and I saw them in the movies, and I said, him. Of course, I meet them in a bar, mostly. I talked about the movie, and then we did some casting rehearsal thing to see how it feels for them and for me, and everything was good, and they were on board. That was how I did with the young casting, and they are great actors.
Nice. And make sure, folks, the silent party opens us up on Friday, October 2nd at 4 p.m. East Coast time. So get your ticket or get your pass and be a part of it and join us for the opening festival feature. And Jake, with Poser, talk about the central casting, because, these characters live in a real gray area through the entire production. So it's hard to say who the protagonist and who the antagonist is throughout. So you definitely had some very talented performers step into these roles, especially the brothers, to bring this true crime to life.
Yeah, we found most of our actors on backstage. They were local people, and then our core group came from those Wright State students. And we really struck gold with one of the guys we approached. He's like, "Hey, can I bring along 4 of my friends to try to fill the rest of the roles you had?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Because then you don't have to foster that. You don't have to build up that relationship as much. They bring that with them when they show up, which was a massive help. It wouldn't have worked without it. And they all live together, which was like
wow,
great. When I had to go pick them up, I literally just drove to their apartment and they all got in the car.
Save on the transportation budget, folks. There you go.
Yeah, it literally, it couldn't have worked any other way. And I was so blessed to have those guys. But our biggest star, I think, of it is the main character, obviously that protagonist, Aiden.
Yeah.
And he's actually Robert Kurtzman's son.
I thought so.
Yeah. Which I didn't know that when he signed up. I picked him strictly because I'd seen a short film he was in. And he's one of those guys that does not have to act. You see him, and the way he exudes a character without saying anything was just, it's like, you only see that with so many people, and he has that. And so I approached him about it, and I think it was halfway through the production, we figured out hey, no, this is Robert Kurtzman's son, and we better do a good job and not disappoint him. But yeah, I was really, really happy with him. So if you see his performance in it, I think he does a really great job. And the other guys I think that did a fantastic job was our main antagonist. He's not in it too long, but it was the first feature that guy ever did, Billy Bronson, and he rocked it. That guy is punk rock. He is skate culture, and that dude nails everything first take. Really intimidating, and yeah, now he had a kid mid shoot, and he's a dad. He's working from home now. Things change, but he's so talented.
Billy plays Ben in the film, and Ben has a very key role in the whole ring of what's going on, and very central to it. And you're right, he is exceptionally intimidating. And we talked about charismatic before. That one particular scene, he really just you feel like you want to go with him in what he's doing.
Yeah, and one quick fact about that scene too, because it happens at this party scene. That was a real party with some stuff I can't name that actually happened on camera that we couldn't control. Those kids did not want to be in that scene. They did not want to be in that room. And he had one take to get it right. And you should hear, like, the ad libs in it were all from the kids there. They were completely shocked. And I think they were in a state of mind where it felt like, I think it felt pretty real to probably 90% of that group in there. And he did it. He pulled it off. I was like amazed. So.
It's fantastic. And the 6 p.m. movie will be Poser here at the Philadelphia Unnamed Film Festival. And Jake, we're so happy to have it. And Matt and I look forward to the Q&A, talking with you on Friday.
Thanks. Means a lot.
Skip, my friend, you know, it's a very female-centric story, as you had talked about. So casting this, you know, you want someone who can run that emotional range, and your lead actress does. And, you know, you have Kip Weeks in there, you have Barbara in there, so you also have a few more known names within the genre landscape. So that's got to help as well.
Yeah, I was so lucky with Emma.
Yeah.
Mackenzie plays the lead. But as I mentioned before, I lost my daughter. Her name was Shea, and I actually have a thing called the Shea Film Festival.
Right.
Which is a fundraiser for our foundation in her name, and we give out fellowships to first-time female filmmakers. And the festival started off as this one day, 3 blocks of shorts, and now we're 5 days. When pre-COVID, 5 days, 3 locations. It's turned into this big thing, and a lot of it is genre stuff, but a lot of it is local stuff. So I was actually able to see Emma in a lot of the movies that she made locally, and she was spectacular. And the most important thing is she's from Northern Ireland, so she had an accent, which brings a lot of credibility to a folk horror story.
Yep.
So I mean, and she hit it out of the park, and it was beyond hitting it out of the park, because as this was, it was a weekend warrior project at times, and at times things didn't work out. So for her to maintain this character arc, and everything's shot out of sequence, is just brilliant. I mean, I can't rave about her enough, because it's something to see. It's seamless to the viewer, and she and I had to, we'd have to regroup and say, okay, this is where you were before. But she nailed it every time. And the same with her husband, Patrick Bracken. He actually runs the Q&A at our film.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
And he's a stage actor. So he was easy to bring into. And yeah, I mean, I'm lucky that I have a friendship with Kip Weeks. We've written a script together. We've done some things together. So I was, for him to play the pivotal role of Cardinal Sinibaldi for me, was fun, because this, in every script I've written since, I allude to this Cardinal Sinibaldi in one way or another. If I'm making really low budget films pretty much on my own, I may as well make them all in the same universe. So even if it's just for my own amusement. So that's what I've did it. And I've Aurora Gabriel, who's if anyone is almost like my muse, she's in everything I've made. She's in this, and she always hits it out of the park. So Rick Johnston, Greg Velez, I've worked with them in shorts. They were both in Trinity. They both had the gallery scene in Trinity, and they were hilarious to me anyway in that scene. So I've got actors that I have this relationship with that I can just say, hey, let's go do this, and they're on board. And then because of the festival, I mean, I'm really, really lucky. And I'm also in a room right now with 3 filmmakers. Just so you know, I run a film festival. You ever need a place to submit a film?
Exactly. Guys, I highly recommend Shea. Highly recommend.
Jake comes up. But yeah, just we'll talk afterwards if you want.
Yeah.
I was I think in Massachusetts, because of the tax credits for the film industry, a lot of people work here, so I'm able to find, you know, good crew who are always working, and good actors who are always in front of a camera. So it's not a new thing, and if we can move fast, because as Diego said, you know, sometimes you got to move fast with these things, especially with budgets in mind. So I'm in this region. I'm very lucky, and it's a great cast. I'm thrilled with everyone's performance, except for my own, actually. But
oh, anyway, you are the most menacing guy with an axe that I've seen in a long time. So please, and you rock the shorts really well. So with that being
I'm
said,
wearing them now.
hey, you know, you're so method. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And Seeds will be our 8 p.m. feature for Friday, October 2nd, as a part of the Philadelphia Unnamed Film Festival. And that leaves it to you, Steve. And Steve, it's kind of a different question for you because, you know, there's no cast for this documentary, but there is a cast with Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. And, you know, at the forefront, there's names on there like Bruce Campbell and Ted Raimi at the forefront that people know and, you know, love. And one of the things I absolutely love, and I think it's Chris Alexander who says it in the doc, is, you know, and Bruce, I believe, follows it up, is the fact that Ash is, out of all the horror icons, he's the good horror icon. He's got charisma. He's different from the rest of them, which is so important and makes him stand out, no matter, you know, how jaded he is. So talk about, you know, who was a part of this documentary and how important it was to get a Ted Raimi and a Bruce Campbell to talk on camera for it.
Well, I think Bruce Campbell was the goal from the beginning. You know, we start with, you know, I was lucky because, you know, I used to run the horror section of the Montreal Comic Con. So, you know, I used to invite guests and talk with agent and stuff. And before L, I did also Under the Scares, where I was going to different convention and meet people and celebrities and stuff. So people are always asking me, you know, how hard it was to get, you know, the cast from Evil Dead 1 and 2 in the film. And it wasn't that hard, like, to be honest. You know, I think when you're doing a documentary, that kind of film, you just need to ask, you know. You just need to go there to go, you know, I don't think if you're going to a convention and you go straight at a table and start talking with the guests, of course he will tell you that he don't have the time during the weekend because, like, he wasn't aware of. But if you find a way to contact him before, or his agent or stuff, they are all happy to sit down in front of a camera and talk about what they love the most, which is horror. So you know, I knew Tom Sullivan from a couple of years ago when I did Under the Scares. So I reached out to Tom, and then I knew the ladies because I was running the horror section of the Comic Con, and then I met the agent of the cast of the second film. So and there was a super big reunion at Horror Hound, and I kind of reached out to Nathan saying, you know, can we come down, do some interview and stuff. He was super kind. He offers us to come to the show and everything. So we went to the show. We did all the interview. It's really at the end, like, everything was done. And it was like, okay, how can we get Bruce now in this film? You know, we film everybody, well, except Ted, because we filmed Ted at this at the Bruce Campbell Horror Fest, where we filmed Bruce. And it was like, okay, how can we get him? Uh, so we did exactly what I just told you not to do. There was it's true. So there was the Bruce Campbell Horror Fest. There was 3 super fans who were coming from London and Italy, John Michael and Emmanuel. So, like, the first goal was to go there to film them because, you know, they made an amazing trip to go see all their all the cast and everything. And, you know, I kind of start sending email to his agent because somebody else from the cast give me his info. I'm not gonna tell who. And so you know, we were talking, but never he was telling us like, okay, it's done, so we traveled to Chicago, 14 hours of drive, and from the Friday morning when we got there until Sunday midday, like we were not sure we're about to get an interview or not. Bruce is super busy during those conventions. There's big lineup, and during the Sunday, I think it was around 2, and I told the rest of the crew, I was like, okay, if it's not working in an hour, we're just gonna leave. But we can't. It's not gonna work. And I was Glenn, my producer, was texting me, "You're not coming back to Montreal without an interview with Bruce Campbell." I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna die," and then his agent, was looking at me, and then he walked straight up to us, and he was like, "Okay, so we did talk with everybody here, and everybody's telling us that you guys are super cool. So at 4:00, go there. You're gonna have 15 minutes to set up. Bruce's gonna give you a 5-minute interview, and after you're gonna have to send us the footage, so we're sure that like everything is fine, and then you can use the footage." I was like, okay. So we went there at 4. We set up, and while we were setting up, I was like, we were in a big room. There was people walking around, and I was not really paying attention. And at some point, I turned around. I was like, we are in the celebrity room of the Wizard World. Like Jeremy Reimer was like drinking his coffee, walking next to us. I was like, oh my God. So we're really like disturbing those guests who just don't want to see anybody right now. They want to be alone. So yeah. So anyway, Bruce came. He gave us a 15-20 minutes interview after all. He sat down with us after. We talked for, I don't know, 20-25 other minutes. It was funny because a couple of years before, he filmed a movie called The Woods in Montreal, and he filmed one of the part of the film was in a psychiatric hospital. And the first film that I shot, Stories of a Gravedigger, my part was exactly in the same hospital, in the same hallway, in the same room where Bruce Campbell was. So we kind of talked about that, and then his agent came. And it was like, I asked him to have his card so I can tell him, okay, well, I'm going to send you the footage. And while I was talking, Bruce heard me, and he was like, no, Mike, fuck that. Just give me your release. The guy are cool. I saw what they did online, everything. It's amazing. You take the
That's
release,
awesome.
you sign it, and you're like, you can do whatever you want with me, guys. Have fun. Now I'm tired. I'm going to leave. It was a pleasure. And he left. I was like speechless. I was like, okay. So this is a story. Sorry, I did.
That's a fantastic.
But it was fun.
And by the way, when you see the doc, it's going to be playing 10 p.m. on Friday, October 2nd to close out day 1 of Puff. Martin's reaction. You get Martin's reaction of doing the interview with Campbell. Yeah. And you know what, Steve? One of the things I love about it is, you chronicle so many stages of life with it. You chronicle the aspect of marriage, of fandom, of birth, of death, and also the aspect of, Martin's first trip into the States is a part of this.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of there's a very human aspect to this documentary.
Yeah, and one of the things that I don't want to say joke around, Martin and me, is the fact that, Martin and me were doing short film and film festival like here in Montreal, and we were always like seeing each other, but without really being friends, just seeing him as a director who's always having a film there. And actually, right now he's one of my best friends, and like our friendship kind of start with this documentary. When we, for the first time, we went to the States together. Well, he went to the States for the first time. I went there before, and we start filming that. So at the beginning of the journey, he wasn't like an associate producer on the movie and everything. I was following him going to a convention for the first time in the States and meeting Tom Sullivan.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun because it's kind of like we have on camera like the beginning of our friendship, which is nice. Anyway.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, this has been fantastic, folks. I want to thank everyone on this roundtable tonight: Diego, Jake, Steve, Skip, all for being a part of this. And again, go to festone.com, folks, and look up the Philadelphia Unnamed Film Festival. Get the $10 pass. Go for both days. I mean, it makes too much sense not to, especially in the world that we live in virtually. If not, send us your money and do $5 tickets, whatever you feel comfortable with nowadays, whatever it is with it. But I will be there on Friday. Matt will be there on Saturday, and we're going to intertwine, and it's going to be an incredible time. I am so proud of this features lineup, you know, when it comes to the Silent Party, when it comes to Poser, when it comes to Seeds, when it comes to Hail to the Deadites, and also Beasts clawing. Wait, I want to make sure I got this right out of Korea. I don't want to sound, you know, Beasts clawing at straws. And it's, you know, it's incredible 5-pack of films over 2 days, over 30 shorts, a ton of Q&As, incredibly genuine stories like we just heard from the quartet of you talented gentlemen who have brought these features and this storytelling to the unnamed crowd. And we thank you so much. And we'll talk more with the Q&As afterwards for each feature. And again, big thank you to everyone out there who's promoted the festival virtually and over the years, all the supporters, all the fans, and Don Giovanni Records label, not store. I was corrected halfway through about that. So there you go. There you go. And thank you, gentlemen, very much. We appreciate you being a part of the 5th annual virtual Philadelphia Unnamed Film Festival. Before we go, Diego, anything you want to say to the fans out there?
Just watch the movie. Use headphones if you don't have any good sound equipment. Yes, turn off the light and enjoy it.
Awesome, Jake. Anything to add?
I think it's a good taster to get into the fall season leading up to Halloween. I think I'm really proud of the atmosphere we created in the performances. So hope you guys enjoy it.
Awesome. Skip, what about you?
Yeah, just buy the tickets. I don't know what you're waiting for.
And Steve, round us up.
I'm gonna say be groovy, just buy tickets. That's okay.
Fantastic. We look forward to it, and we look forward to talking to all you gentlemen, your cast and crews on Friday. For me, JK, here with the Philadelphia Unnamed Film Festival, which is behind me right here. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of this Filmmakers Roundtable. We'll see you on Fest Home in just a couple days. Thank you so much.